Wonderful. So, hello and a very, very warm welcome to today's session called Planning for Marketing Success. So, my name is Kate Llewellyn and I am from the Content Consultancy. I run a small business myself, which aims to support fellow small business owners as well as organisations and charities to basically make content creation easier, to help you with things like planning, but also visibility and consistency and upping engagement and things like that. My background is actually in academic publishing, so I come from the world of books and lexicography, dictionaries, and then I moved into running my own business to, work as a professional copywriter myself, specializing in long form content such as websites and blogs. And then also I now run a small online membership called the Content Club, which is a pay monthly, or there is also an annual membership available. We do all our sessions online, and it's basically to help people to help themselves, because I think a lot of the problem with marketing and planning being one is it's really hard to do it on your own. And there's often a lot of questions and you end up down the rabbit hole of Googling or having a look at what other people are doing, and it can all just seem really confusing. And so I created this online community so that people could have someone that they could ask, a sort of a marketing expert that they could come to, but also so they could share ideas with each other and support each other too, on what I often refer to as the content treadmill. And if we can make that a bit more enjoyable, then my job has been done. So what will we cover today? So my thing, and I hope you'll hear it in my voice, but I am really, really passionate about planning and about why we should do it and how it can be so valuable, but people still don't do it. And so the first thing I'm going to go through is a bit about why plan. How can you convince yourself? How can you make space in probably your already massive to-do list and all the other things that you've got taking up headspace and brain space, and whether this is professional as well as what's going on in life. So we'll talk about why should you plan. I'm going to go through the 3 reasons that keep me planning and how I try to show people the value of it, which then convinces them too. And finally, I'm going to do a quick whistle stop tour through the way that I plan my content and my marketing for both myself, my own business, and my clients, and what I share with people in the Content Club so that they can do it too. And this is my 3rd year of using this concept of this process, and yes, it's not for everyone, but it does work for the majority. And I think once you're at least shown a method that can work, you can then adapt it to yourself. But it's a great place to start if you really are avoiding planning or not actually doing anything right now. As I say to people, winging it is really exhausting. So let's stop doing that. So the title of this presentation was all about planning for marketing success. So how does planning lead to marketing success? I think it's when you actually believe in it, when you actually think, yes, this plan is going to help me, this plan is going to make a difference. So the first thing I actually invite you to do is to figure out your own why. And to do that, we can just take a little step back. So if you've got a pen and paper to hand, have a little think. Do you plan? Do you plan generally? Do you plan in your personal life as well as in your professional life? Do you plan your marketing? And if you plan any form of marketing, any form of brand awareness, visibility, any activity that you do, it doesn't have to be people thought like marketing, social media. No, there's lots of different ways that we can be getting our messages out there. Do you go to networking? Do you write blogs? Do you send emails? Do you attend conferences, events, all of the marketing activities that you could be doing to promote what you do, what you offer, how you help people? Are you planning it in any way? If so, how and how often? Because that's another one where a lot of people do a great plan in January and then stick it in a drawer and forget about it. And if you're not planning, why not? What is the barriers that are in your way? Then take another sort of, I suppose, another step back, but have a think about how do you actually feel about planning? Some people feel really overwhelmed. It's that kind of blank page feeling of like, I don't know where to start. I don't know, what I even want to plan. I don't know what I'm going to gain for it. So have a little think about your emotional connection with planning. Is it easy? Is it difficult? Is it a time thing? This is very common. Would you like it to feel easier? Is that, what is stopping you from planning more consistently, or certainly writing a plan and keeping it? And what could you do? How do you feel you could make it more effective or more convenient? Or are you at a loss with that as well? So take a moment, and if you're watching on replay, feel free to just hit the pause button and just have a little think. What is it about planning? Am I really good at it, but there, things aren't coming to fruition? Or if I'm not so good, what are the barriers that are standing in my way? And as I said, both of sort of physically and things like that, but also how it just makes you feel. If you don't have a good reason to plan, or you just, you're saying, oh yeah, I don't even know how to answer the why plan question, I'm going to go through now three reasons why I encourage my clients to plan. And I think it does really provide them with the motivation that they need. And even when maybe they don't end up doing the planning, it starts to plant that seed of, I know I should, and I know I can, and I know that it will pay off long term. So planning, I genuinely believe, leads to success. Without a plan, as I said at the beginning, you're winging it. You don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it often, and that can make life really difficult, especially in business. So why do I think you should plan? I think because it gives you the best foundation on which to build. I think it gives you an amazing record to reflect upon. It's that whole thing. We write something down, it's there in front of us, it's there for us to use and to keep and to reflect upon. And finally, it actually gives you a future full of supportive content as well. When we actually plan anything, but particularly our marketing, there's an asset there that you can build on and that you can actually use again and again. So what do I mean by gives you a foundation? So I believe that planning kind of takes three sort of elements or steps. So first of all, when you start your plan, go back. This is not just about, right, what am I going to post on what day, what social media, what marketing, what blogging do I need to do? This is about, first of all, thinking, well, what am I trying to achieve? So consider the goals of your marketing, or even bigger than that, your whole business. What are you actually trying to achieve? And then what are the marketing activities that will help you to reach that? Step two, when you're putting together a plan, you're going to come up with some initial ideas, because you're thinking about your goals, you're thinking about your marketing activities, what's going to help you, to get to that end point. What ideas, what things do you need to communicate? What messages do you need to do? When you're putting together a plan, you're going to come up with those initial ideas, and then you're going to flesh them out. You're then going to sort of say, well, okay, yeah, I want to write a post on this. What's it actually going to say? What is it going to look like? Is it going to be an image? Is it going to be a video, etc.? So already your plan is helping you to build the foundations of actually producing your content and doing your marketing. And then step three is obviously actually planning in the plan itself. So you've put together a plan, now we need to implement it. So how's that going to happen? What's that going to look like? And again, once you've done that once you've decided, okay, yeah, I'm going to have to schedule some content in, I'm going to have to create stuff in advance, I might have to call on other people, I might have to rearrange my diary, whatever it might be, you are planning that plan, you are taking active steps. And once you've done that once, even though, yes, of course, we sometimes have to tweak things, we don't always get it right the first time, again, you've got a foundation on which to build. And it's just a reminder that if you don't ever start with a plan, you've got nothing to go from. You don't have that springboard that you can use. And then importantly, what's so wonderful about having a plan is, absolute worst case scenario, maybe you don't implement any of it. Maybe you don't do any marketing. At least you've got something that you can reflect and analyze. You can go, well, okay, so I put all this together, this wonderful plan, and then I shoved it in a drawer and I forgot all about it. What happened there? Why was that? Again, going back to those questions, I knew I had a really good reason to plan. I'd come up with my why. There was some other barrier in the way, and that might be, just literally creating the content, having the time to do it. Perhaps you planned in too much. We all get very excited with some marker pens and whatever, and it doesn't. But you've got something. Whereas if I speak to people and they've never put a plan in place at all, it's then really hard to analyze, why their marketing's not working, what is landing, what isn't, etc., etc. And especially when it comes to people saying, like, how often should I be doing this or that or whatever? Oh, I'm just going to let someone in. Hello, warm welcome to those who've just arrived. So we've just gone through step one. We've been talking about why you should plan. Why do you want to plan? And here we are with the step one, which is it gives you a foundation. I will be sending out the slides as well and a replay, so don't worry if you've missed anything. So why else? What are the other reasons that I use to convince my employees and my clients? The next thing is to say that I believe it gives you a record. We sort of just touched upon that about saying about having a plan. But, again, so many people, if they're just winging it or they're sticking out social media posts whenever they feel like it, so many people very rarely will go back and write down, oh, yes, so in October, I posted this, posted that, wrote this, went to this networking event, etc. You're not going to go back and do that. Whereas if you have a plan in the first place, you're then going to, you can tick off or cross, what you did and what you didn't do. You've got something there. It becomes a record of all of your ideas, even if you didn't actually put stuff into practice. And again, it's a really useful document for critical analysis, for critical reflection. If you're looking, social media is a really good example. If you suddenly had a spike in people following you or engagement or comments or, even better than that, bookings, people getting in touch, it's really hard to go back and mine through everything you've done to figure out where that might have come from, what caused that spike or peak. Whereas if you have a plan in front of you and you've recorded what you then did or didn't do, you can just go through and go, oh, hang on a minute. So I had quite a few people come to me a month after I did all of this brilliant content and I was really consistent and I posted, twice a week or what have you. Or other side, if things are dropping off, you can compare and go, yeah, when I was really on it, when I was posting regularly, when I was doing everything I planned to do, that really seems to have paid off. Even right down to like different types of content. When I seem to write a blog, this happens. When I send an email, this happens. It's so much easier when you've got a plan in front of you that you can map this kind of critical reflection onto. And as I put there at the bottom, just remember your open questions with that record, like what worked, how did it work, why do I think it worked? And importantly, if you do see a spike in particularly in any kind of engagement or leads or follow-up or sales, ask people, do make sure, look at that plan and go, what's the chance, how did you hear about me? What made you book? And it's so interesting when people actually can genuinely put their finger on that one piece of content that they saw, that one little reminder, that bit in your inbox, whatever it might be. And my third reason, I hope I'm convincing you now, and this is a wonderful one, think about your future self. When you have a plan, especially if it is comprehensive, you never have to start from scratch again. You will never have that blank page phobia ever again. You will never have that, oh, what am I going to post today? Or what am I going to write about today? What am I going to do today? You have something in front of you that you can use year on year. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about my planner in a second, but the planner itself, once you've got a whole year's worth of content, you've got a whole year's worth of ideas in there. And what's wonderful is if you record not only what you actually did, but also the plans and ideas you had, which maybe you didn't, you've got some little free ideas there waiting to be created. You can also take content that you've already got because you've got a record of it. You knew what you planned, you knew what you created, and you can refine it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every month or every year, every week, every post. You can take something and go, do you know what? I could just make that a little bit better. And so much of marketing and content can be repurposed and reused. And that brings me on to that last point, which is you can do so much more with less when you have a nice, clear plan. Make every piece of content that you create work hard for your business again and again and again. A really simple example of this is like a blog post that maybe I wrote 2-3 years ago. I can look at, I can update, I can simply republish. I can just, update the date on the blog. I can tweak it if I want to, but I can put it out again on social media. I could share it with a lead that I think might find it interesting. I can put it out in an email. I can share it in a comment in a Facebook group. There are so many ways that you can use content. But if I didn't have my plan in the first place to make me create that content, and then B, have a record of it, which the plan becomes after the event, then, I wouldn't have any of that. And I'd be constantly looking at creating new. And if I can do anything for you today, is that give your future self a whole load of content that you can reuse. Life's so much easier. If there's one takeaway, please look at any content you create, how you can reuse it, and particularly social media posts, because the algorithm is against you, so not everybody of your followers, not everyone sees everything you put out. And secondly, even if they do, people don't mind. It's often a good reminder about who you are, what you do, etc. And finally, you're also likely to get a change in audience as the months and years go on. We get new followers, people stop following us. As I say, the algorithm shows things to different people. So again, you're giving every piece of content that you do another bite of the cherry. And it's so much easier to find that if you have a record in form and in terms of a plan. So this is a quote which I, feel very close to because I really believe in it. So we talked about when we first start a plan, we want some kind of goal to back it up. We want to think, what are we trying to achieve in our business, and what is the marketing that's going to help us to do that, and how are we going to plan to actually do, to do these activities to help us with that goal. So a goal without a plan is just a wish. So let's turn those wishes into reality. So how to plan. Now, I've only got 5 minutes or so because I do want to leave a little bit of time at the end. So I'm just going to rush through. But basically, I'm going to introduce you to the method of planning that I use with, as I say, with my clients and in the Content Club, which is my online membership. And basically, I have a kind of there's sort of 4 separate elements, and we basically get more and more. We go from really broad and top level down to really granular, which I think makes a lot of sense for people, and it really breaks down how to plan. And that, I think is really helpful. The place we always start is what I call my minimum content commitment. And this is where you basically, and I'll flick straight to the next slide because I think this is the best way to understand it. You stick down on some post-it notes. I used to say back of a fag packet, but it's not sort of appropriate anymore. But, what are you going to do? What do you want to do in terms of your marketing? What have you got the ability to do? What have you got the time to do? What feels realistic? And I genuinely mean minimum. And for some of my clients, that literally means like 1 LinkedIn post per week. It might mean, 1 email just once a quarter, and that's it. So just getting down, what sort of content do you want to do, and how often are you going to do it? That's where we start. We're not thinking about what the content's going to be, what the topics are, what's it about. Not yet. We're just trying to commit to giving us some kind of figure that we can start with and take forward. After we made a commitment, we create a template calendar. So as you can see here, this is just an example where we can then plot in when this content is going to appear month on month. And again, this is one of those, just dive in and give it a try. And if it works for you, I promise for most people, it really does. So just as an example here, so for example, this person has decided they're going to do 8 social media posts a month. They then plot in on a template calendar that their first post on the first Monday of the month is going to be a sales type post. You could just write in social media posts. It's up to you how much detail you go into. But I often suggest in the Content Club that you kind of, what type of post? What's the purpose of the post? So it might be just very much, you're going to talk about your sales. You're going to talk about your services. You're going to talk about a particular product. On a Wednesday here, again, this is just an example, we've said that the first Wednesday, we're going to put out a testimonial. We're going to show up, we're going to give off our credibility. We're going to put a testimonial from a client. Again, these are ones that we can use again and again and again. And then just to sort of draw out some of the bigger elements of content, as you can see here, the 3rd Friday of the month, a new blog post is going to be posted. Remember, this could be scheduled in advance. It's not that you have to write one on the 3rd Friday, but you're going to shout about it over social media. And then interestingly, this example as well, we make sure that on the 4th Monday, so the following Monday after the Friday your blog post is released, you're going to send out that email, which probably tells everybody, all your subscribers, about that brand new blog. For example, this is just an example, but we start with this template. And what's really nice about this is we don't have to worry at this stage about what we're actually posting. This is just a template that we're going to come back and use. We then put that template to one side and we do get into some ideas. And this is where, as I said, it really draws in all those reasons why start to come out. So we start with an annual plan. And for some people, you think this is massive. I can't plan all my marketing for a year in one go. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. All you need to do is come up with your goals. Like I said, to start with, what are your business goals? What are your marketing goals? What kind of things do you want to achieve? And then we map that into topics. So what sort of things do you want to talk about? What areas would be useful? What frequently asked questions do you have? Are there certain times of year where you have to talk about certain things? Some businesses are really seasonal. You know, September has to be all about back to school, new academic year. December has to be, well, even November nowadays has to be all about Christmas, whatever it is. And you just plot in a very high level, broad topic. Now, obviously, I am giving you a whistle stop tour, and in, you know, through the Content Club and through the annual planning sessions, I'll discuss exactly how we choose which topics and how we then flesh them out. But that's where we start, and genuinely it does work. Yes, we sometimes chop and change as the year comes along, but it gives us a great place to plan, and you know, it really can work successfully. Then on a quarterly basis, we break down that plan a little bit further. And this is what I mean about having the foundations and just slowly building it up. So if whatever our topic might be in January, it might be sort of a new you type message. We start to think, well, what sort of things do we want to be talking about? What questions do my clients often ask? What services are really relevant for this topic? We also, as you can see in the boxes, we break down, we look back at past plans or any other information we have about content we've created before, and we pop in, what have we got that we can either reuse just as it is? Yep, let's put it out into the world again. What can we repurpose? So maybe an old blog post that could be updated, or an old blog post that could be used as a script for a video, or perhaps, you know, being broken down into different social media posts, things like that. And then also we do make a little list of the things that we want to create new. And what's wonderful is when you plan consistently, the amount of content that you need to create new reduces and reduces and reduces. And then we get back to our monthly calendar. And this is where we then switch back and use our template, and we start plotting in. So we know exactly the topic that we're going to cover that month. And now we just need to map all the different content, the different types of posts, the testimonials, for example. We try and find one that's really relevant for the topic we're trying to achieve. And, you know, above that topic, the goal that we're really aiming for with our content in a particular month. And what you've seen here is all taken from my physical planner, which I do have available for people to buy. It's also free for annual club members. This is a physical planner that some people really love, but if you prefer to work digitally, this is all something that could be adapted for things like Airtable, or Trello, or things like that. It really can be used in that way just as successfully. And, you know, part of, again, don't ever let the tools of planning stop you planning, because sometimes we need to use a mixture of digital and written, sometimes you know, digital and physical, and sometimes, you know, we do need to try a few different tools before we work out what's best for us. But whichever tool we have, it becomes a record, and it becomes a whole host of ideas that we can build on. It is hard to plan all alone. I think, you know, there's nothing worse than being told, go plan now. That is really hard. And so, you know, that is why I did set up the Content Club. Yes, Helen, I absolutely will. Give me 2 seconds. Yes, so the Content Club is available to join at any time. It is £23 per month, or I'm currently running a special offer just through to early January, where you can join today for just £239 for the whole year, the 12 months, and you will receive a free content planner. This does include access to all of our quarterly planning sessions, but most importantly, our annual planning session, which takes place online via Google Meet on Monday, the 4th of December from 12:30 till 3 p.m. I guide you through all those different templates that we've just been talking about, and then we have some co-working time as well within that, so that we make the absolute most of our time. And genuinely, you know, this is, I say, the 3rd year I've been running this. A lot of my clients will get both that annual plan all written out and also a quarterly plan in that one session. I think that's it from me. If there are any final questions, I will stop the recording so that you know, you have a bit of confidentiality. But do take a look at my website, www.thecontentconsultancy.com/the Content Club. I also have a mailing list where you receive a free jargon buster, so do go and find that. It's on my homepage. You can sign up as well. But any other questions, let me just stop the recording and I'll be happy to take them.